I'm Dr. Martin Rutherford, certified functional medicine practitioner and chiropractor.
Dr. Randall Gates, board-certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractor.
So we're going to talk about Hashimoto and plastics today. Hashimoto's is a subject that we've been long associated with. Frankly, probably before most people were associated with, and we were taking quite a bit of abuse for even diagnosing people with it, and getting heat on it. And the point from that is that Hashimoto's, the understanding of what's going on with Hashimoto's is exploding. The number of things it's related to, the things that can create a Hashimoto's is an immune attack on your thyroid primarily, and so you're always looking for the things that are creating the immune attack, and it can be a multitude of things. And I was just mentioning to Dr. Gates, we're talking about plastics today. I remember reading about that like 10 years ago, but wondering, is that actually something that has something to do with it? Because back then it was everything. It was metals. It was
right.
It was anything you could think of. The alternative groups were putting out as you had to avoid all of this, which was basically everything in life, it seemed like. But it turns out that plastics do create a negative effect on the condition of Hashimoto's. And so we're going to discuss that this morning, probably fairly briefly. It's not a long topic, I would assume. Mm-hmm. And if it's not brief, then that's fine too. So plastics. So plastics, as the famous gentleman in the Dustin Hoffman movie from many years ago, the graduate said to Dustin Hoffman when he had him in his graduate courses, okay, so I'm 65, so there's going to be people more my age, the graduate. It was the famous line for the decade when people would say, what are you going to do with your life? And people would go, plastics, because the gentleman at his college graduation party pulled him over, and he was wondering what he was going to do for a living, and the gentleman leaned over and said, plastics. Because back in 1965
right.
or 68, mm-hmm. plastics were just coming in. That was the whole point.
That's
plastics were
Tupperware evolution.
Just coming in, and nobody knew anything about them. They were going to save the world. Now we've got some mass of plastics, I guess twice the size of Texas, under the Pacific Ocean, from what I read in the other day in the National Geographic. So plastics could be a problem. That was the whole point of that. That aside that I was warned not to do yesterday, but I just did it. So good.
That's hilarious. So the whole question is, why is Hashimoto's so much more common?
Yeah.
And so that's what everybody's scratching their head about. We know there's a genetic predisposition. The genetics really haven't changed in terms of probability. So what is going on in our environment? And that is why the researchers are clawing at everything they possibly can. We've talked about infections as it relates to thyroid. We've talked about gluten and foods ad nauseum. And then there are the other associated environmental chemicals like plastics. And Dr. Karazian, who's been at the forefront of a lot of the Hashimoto's research, he did a great study where he looked at basically exposure to these plastic chemicals and probability of developing immunity to the thyroid, and he did find an association. So that's highly important for all of you out there. Most people are pretty aware about the plastic connection, maybe that is bad for your health, but I don't know how many people are really aware of the association to Hashimoto's. So if you do have Hashimoto's, if you're concerned about it, this is definitely something to, be aware of, basically is the best way to say it. And I still see a lot of people microwaving in Tupperware. I don't think that's a good idea. Also be conscientious that the plastics are mainly released under the formation of heat. So your hot plastic cups for your coffee, for your water, those lids.
Cups that have sat in the car for a few days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those lids on your coffee that are full of plastics, all things to be pretty aware of in general. I'm not saying that you have to carry around a canteen. Some of you do, but based on the current evidence, it's probably a good idea to limit your use to plastics, especially if there's a heat component to it. Cold bottle of water that hasn't sat in the sun, probably less likely to worry about it. But we've all had that experience where you take a hot bottle of water that's been sitting in the sun and it actually kind of tastes like plastic. That's a bad sign.
And I've read that where they say, well, sometimes in the trucks they have sat like that before they get to the store, and then so it's
right.
So
yeah,
it can even introduce that
completely
that element of concern or doubt into, should I drink this bottle of in the plastic bottle?
Yeah, 100%.
Never thought I'd be saying this, because I was always one of those going, plastic. So you kidding? The guy told Dustin Hoffman that was the future.
And then, just as an aside, I have a close personal friend who's involved in firefighter health, and it seems that the firefighters seem to struggle pretty dramatically with a variety of neurological illnesses, at least what we're seeing in this area. And one thought process is, when these firefighters go into these homes and it's a house fire, everything's on fire, well, all these chemicals are being released that the firefighters are then breathing. So, okay, I'm not going to end up on the stand. I'm not saying that firefighters' health issues are caused by these chemicals being released, but it raises the question, do we need to look into this farther? And what are their respirator systems? How much are they filtering? Because this could be a potentially big issue in the development of autoimmunity. So, things to be aware of if you're a Hashimoto's patient, things to be very aware of.
Yeah, in the end, it's all about what's inflaming the immune system. And I mean, there's even theories on stress and, like you said, viruses and all this type of stuff. So anything that gets in there that's a foreign body is a potential problem.
It is, and even phthalates from our perfumes and our colognes, that could potentially be an issue for you as well. So things to consider. So if your Hashimoto's isn't responding, maybe look at this as a possibility. So that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so you can go to Power Health Talk and Power Health Consult, but Power Health Talk is where our questions can be received, and we appreciate you watching, so thank you.